Welcome to this explainer. So, you're a brand new retail store owner. First off, huge congratulations. Opening up a physical storefront, that is a massive milestone. But right now, you're probably staring down one of the most stressful but absolutely crucial decisions of the whole process. How to actually protect your brand new storefront when you lock up and go home at night. Security shutters are a major investment, and there's a lot of confusing information out there from manufacturers who, frankly, just want to sell you their most expensive product. Today, we're going to demystify this choice completely. We're pulling directly from data based on nearly 500 real-world commercial installations across Northern California to give you the plain, unfiltered truth about protecting your business. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the Connect 4 test, the 4 main types of shutters, how to avoid common mistakes, choosing by your specific use case, and finally, dialing in your color, speed, and specs.
All right, part 1, the Connect 4 test. We're talking solid versus perforated.
I really want you to ask yourself this essential question right off the bat. Should your new store be a wall or a window at night? Are you trying to completely seal the place off, or do you still need people to see inside? This is your core choice right here, solid versus perforated. Shifting your mindset away from, hey, which shutter is tougher, to what's my actual specific use case, man, that changes absolutely everything about how you'll shop for the system. And this perfectly illustrates the perforated option. If you're kind of scratching your head wondering what perforated actually means in the security world, just picture a giant Connect 4 board. It's literally a grid of square holes punched right through the metal slats. The heavy aluminum structure is completely there, but this regular pattern lets light, air, and, crucial sight lines pass right through. And here's a totally fascinating detail from our sources. Notice how the holes are square? That's actually 100% intentional. If you punch round holes in metal, well, it ends up looking like it's covered in bullet holes. As a new business owner, nobody wants their storefront to look like a violent metaphor, right? Square is just the right call for an inviting but secure vibe. Moving right along to section 2, the 4 types of shutters. Let's map out your options. So, looking at data from nearly 500 real-world installations, here's the reality of how the market actually splits. 70% of operators go with a completely solid shutter. 25% choose that perforated Connect 4 style we just talked about, and a tiny 5% land on a partial variant. Honestly, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take some comfort in this. The vast majority of your peers are basically just choosing between those 2 main options. What's really cool here is how fast you can map your specific business onto these 4 categories just based on how much visibility you actually need. Let's break it down. First up, the solid roll down. This is 0% open. It is a literal wall when it's closed. You can't see in, you can't see out. This is the heavy hitter for liquor stores, gas stations, and convenience stores, places where you just want to keep people out and keep your products completely invisible after hours. Second, we've got the partial shutter, sitting at about 15% open. Mostly opaque, but it lets a tiny sliver of light through. It's a middle ground deterrent, but honestly pretty uncommon. Third is the perforated shutter, 50% open. Think of it more like a fence than a wall. Light and air pass freely, and your brand is still front and center. This is your absolute go-to for jewelry stores, high-end fashion boutiques, or dispensaries, which, by the way, might even have city compliance rules forcing them to keep display cases visible. Finally, don't let counter shutters trip you up during your research. Those are much smaller, usually interior systems, think pharmacy windows or check cashing booths, definitely not full storefronts.
Okay, section 3, avoiding common shutter mistakes. Please, let's make sure you don't buy the wrong one.
All right, the crucial point here is comparing 2 total opposite disasters. On the left, we have what we'll call the high-end retailer mistake. Imagine you open this gorgeous fashion boutique and someone tells you solid shutters are more secure. You install them, and I guarantee within a week you'll deeply regret it. Why? Because every single night, your beautiful brand is hidden behind a giant metal wall, making your pristine storefront look like it literally went out of business and closed permanently. Not great. Now on the right, look at the liquor store mistake. A liquor store owner gets talked into a perforated shutter because the installer says, hey, it looks nicer. Next thing you know, they're dealing with break-in attempts. Why? Because nighttime visibility into a liquor store is exactly what attracts thieves in the first place. The whole point of a liquor store shutter is to make the place look boring, uninteresting, and completely closed off from the street.
Both of those disastrous mistakes, they share one root cause: picking a security system based on a perceived product feature instead of your actual business use case. The data is super clear on this. Start with visibility. If you don't answer that visibility question first, you seriously risk fighting against your own storefront every single night.
Moving right into section 4, choosing by use case. Here is your 3-step framework.
Just follow these 3 simple steps. Step 1. Answer the visibility question. Do you want your product visible from the street after hours? Yes or no? That single decision drives about 70% of your choice right there. Step 2. Name your primary threat. Are you mostly worried about opportunistic smash and grabs by people who'd probably just walk right past a visible barrier? If so, perforated is totally fine. But if you're facing timid burglaries by people coming at you with cutting tools and drills, in that reality, a solid shutter just gives you more physical material they have to defeat. And step 3, match the shutter to your brand, not the brand to the shutter. Remember, a solid wall on a boutique screams closed permanently. A perforated bronze shutter on that exact same boutique whispers closed for the night. Now, if you're sitting there still feeling kind of torn, there is a really clever solution, the mixed install strategy. You can actually mix the 2 types on the exact same storefront. A super common pattern is putting a heavy, solid shutter right over your main entry door, because that's usually the first target for a quick attack, and then popping perforated shutters over your display windows on either side, so your brand stays visible. And the best part? These 2 products integrate beautifully. They use the exact same housing and tracks, and if you finish them in the same color, the visual transition is incredibly clean. Finally, Section 5. Color, speed, and specs. Let's hammer out those final details. When you're finalizing the exact specs with your installer, let's talk about speed first. Motorized shutters, they close in about 20 to 40 seconds. For a busy shop, that's an absolute breeze. Manual crank versions, on the other hand, those take closer to a minute or 2, plus the actual physical sweating from your staff. If you have a high-traffic store, motorized should be your default for sure. Now let's talk finishes. Powder-coated and anodized aluminum are going to hold up best against weather and sun fade. And honestly, color really matters for your aesthetic. Bronze and black are the top-tier choices for high-end retail because they look architectural, not industrial. White, on the flip side, is absolutely perfect for convenience stores because it basically just visually disappears against the building during the day. And please remember this vital fact. Both perforated and solid shutters are forced entry rated. The structural aluminum and the mounting, it's the exact same product. For an opportunistic attempt, like someone kicking the door or throwing a brick through the glass, both the solid and the perforated shutter are going to stop it cold. Where solid actually wins is simply the time to compromise during a planned attack with power tools. Because there are no holes, a solid shutter literally just buys you a few more minutes against an angle grinder. Match the spec to the realistic threat for your specific location, not some worst-case Hollywood movie heist scenario for everyone's store.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought as you get ready to make your purchase. Does your storefront protect your brand after hours? Or does it just hide it? Your business doesn't just stop speaking to the neighborhood just because you flipped the open sign to closed. Make sure you choose a security system that actively works for your business every single night, not against it. Best of luck with the new store. You've got this.